She was seen as the very image of love and generosity. Flordelis dos Santos de Sousa, a gospel singer, congresswoman, pastor, and mother of more than 50 children. For years, she preached salvation and brought people out of the streets, becoming a living symbol of faith in Brazil. By her side was her husband, Anderson do Carmo, also a pastor, the church's administrator, and her constant companion. Together, they built an empire of music, faith, and political influence. Weddings, concerts, packed sermons, the perfect image of a blessed family. But inside their mansion in Niterói, the atmosphere was very different. Among the many adopted children, there were disputes, jealousy, and secrets no one dared to speak about. Messages were deleted, doors were locked at night, and respect slowly turned into fear. The couple who once preached unity was now living in silent conflict, fueled by jealousy and the struggle for power. Anderson was strict. He controlled the finances. He made every decision. And Flordelis, despite the microphone and the pulpit, was beginning to lose control of her own home. In the early hours of June 16, 2019, the neighbors heard gunshots. A lot of them. Inside the garage, Pastor Anderson do Carmo was dead. What first looked like a random robbery would soon become one of the most shocking crimes in Brazil's recent history. A murder carefully planned inside the very family that preached the love of God. In the days leading up to the crime, the atmosphere inside Flordelis' home was ready to explode. The couple no longer spoke the way they used to. Between prayers and choir rehearsals, muffled arguments began to echo behind closed doors. Anderson had begun to question the loyalty of some of their children. Flordelis, tired of his constant demands, claimed he wanted to control even her faith. The love that once played out on stage had turned into a domestic battlefield. Hard stares, long silences, words that cut deeper than any shout. "You forget who built all of this with you?" she supposedly asked, staring straight at him. Anderson took a deep breath and replied coldly, "God built it, but I manage it." It was the kind of line that could ignite pure anger. His control over the church's money and his control over every family decision left Flordelis completely isolated, and some of the children began to turn against their father. Messages exchanged in the middle of the night spoke of hatred, fear, and whispered plans. Appearances, however, remained intact. During the services, she sang with a smile. He preached with a steady voice. But inside the house, faith had already been broken, and every prayer seemed to hide a threat. While the church filled with believers, something far darker was taking shape within those walls. A plan no one would ever believe, coming from the very woman who preached forgiveness. In the early hours of June 16th, the plan finally came to life. Anderson arrived home late and tired, pulling his car into the garage. The house was far too quiet. The clock read 3:20 a.m. when the first shots rang out. More than 30 shots were fired, and within seconds, the pastor fell with no chance to defend himself. Flordelis ran down the stairs, screaming his name, staging a scene of despair in front of her children and neighbors. The police were called. The news spread like wildfire. But within the first 24 hours, the story of a robbery began to fall apart. Text messages, bank transfers, and conflicting statements revealed something impossible to ignore. The crime had been planned inside the house itself. Days later came a truth the country refused to believe. Flordelis not only knew, she had orchestrated everything. She had tried to poison her husband before, persuaded her children to take part, and used faith as her shield. The woman who once preached the love of God was now accused of taking the life of her own husband. During the trial, she cried, she prayed, she denied everything. But the mask no longer fooled anyone. In 2023, she was sentenced to more than 50 years in prison. And that once mighty empire of faith had crumbled to ruins. Today, only the cold walls remain, and the faint echo of the sermons that once filled the temple. A reminder that even at the altar, darkness can disguise itself as light. And sometimes the real hell is born inside your own home.